Everybody, welcome back. Craig Shoup here with Bob Garver, and Bob is holding up a little ID on a lanyard with a Jurassic World. It looks like a nice little dinosaur on that logo there. What do you have there, Bob?
Yeah, you got it. It's a lanyard that I got at last night's screening of Jurassic World Rebirth.
Okay, well, we appreciate you staying up late at night to see the premiere of Jurassic World. We are recording now today on Wednesday. The movie is in full release now. But Bob, we do have a few movies that we'll get to before we get to Jurassic World. Obviously, took a couple weeks off so we could let some movies gather a little bit. So we will get started with Disney Pixar Elio. And I know that we've talked in the past. You're a big fan of Pixar films. They often don't miss, as I think you've put it before in years past. But they've had some runs of not so great movies lately. Trying to get back on track with something original. Elio has not made a lot of money, but is it worth people's time?
It is worth people's time. Pixar has, I think, hit another has another solid hit on their hands, or at least they should. Because fans of their early work should see this one. It's about a boy with who has lost his parents and is being raised by a family member who, in this case, his aunt, voiced by Zoe Saldana, who might not be equipped for childcare.
Mm-hmm.
Which does seem like a reference to another Disney film out in theaters right now with Lilo and Stitch. This kid decides to get really interested in aliens and contacting aliens, and he's eventually abducted by aliens who want him to join a sort of United Nations for various species throughout the galaxy, and his adventures take him into the path of an alien warlord, voiced by Brad Garrett, and he meets the son of the Brad Garrett character, who doesn't want to be a warlord like his father, and with that character. That seems like another movie that's out in wide release right now with How to Train Your Dragon. So it's basically this crossover between Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon. But it's a lot more original than I'm making it sound, because it's very funny, some great new visuals, just a lot of fun.
And obviously, as you said, it certainly, it may not be is it probably not in the upper echelon of Pixar movies, or where does this kind of rank maybe in the Pixar catalog?
I don't think it's in the upper echelon of Pixar, only because the upper echelon of Pixar is so hard to attain. You've got movies like Up and Ratatouille and Toy Story and Finding Nemo and all these absolute classics. So this very solid entry is probably on the lower end, but only relative to a studio like Pixar.
Yeah, and like you said, it's Pixar had such a great run. I think they spoiled us a lot in those mid 2000s. They really, like you said, brought out a bunch of classics like Ratatouille, Wall-E, Up. Toy Story was, of course, the originator of a lot of that. But it's good to see that, Pixar's back to making some original content here. Obviously, they've gone into sequel mode after having such success with some of those movies we mentioned. But
that's true. Inside Out 2 was the biggest movie of last year at the domestic box office.
Yeah. But unfortunately, Elio is not going to break any box. Well, it could break some box office records for Pixar, maybe for lowest grossing Pixar movie. Not even breaking $100 million yet worldwide after a couple of weeks in release. What do you make of it? I mean, obviously you enjoyed the film. What was your final grade on the movie?
B-.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think it's not resonating with audiences?
Well, maybe not because it's not a recognizable property. Also, because they maybe didn't do a great job of marketing it. I don't think I saw too many trailers. I mean, People say that it's practically a ghost. I don't quite agree with that. I mean, I definitely did see some marketing, but they didn't lean into it as heavily as some of their other movies.
Okay. All right. Well, what's your next movie?
Next movie is 28 Years Later. Danny Boyle is back to direct another entry in his zombie series that started all the way back in 2003, at least in the US, with 28 Days Later. Then later, there was 28 Weeks Later. I guess nothing interesting happened at the 28 months mark because we never got one of those movies. But now he's back with 28 Years Later.
And Alex Garland is back writing as well, too. So he's obviously blown up since his early screenplay there of 28 Days Later, too. So the super team is back for 28 Years Later. Does that work, though?
Yes, it does very well. They're still great at directing the zombie sequences, and the zombies are just as terrifying as ever. It got some, obviously, some new characters. The main character in this movie is a kid who's never known a zombie-free world. He's never even seen a Frisbee, which is his dad, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, points out at one point. Basically, this kid is being trained to be a great zombie hunter like his father. And in this case, he really does want to accomplish what his father has accomplished. He just realizes at some point that his father's accomplishments are maybe not as great as he originally thought. But he does understand that his father does a lot of valuable work for their community. They live on a small island that the zombies can't reach, but they do occasionally have to go to the mainland to get supplies and so forth.
Okay. Well, like you said, Boyle, Garland back in the behind the scenes making this film. Does it meet expectations? I know it was sort of a weird. It's been a while since 28 years or 28 weeks later. So, does this ultimately? Why does this work? What's your final grade for it?
Sharp direction, dedicated performances, a really good storyline. There's a storyline about this kid trying to seek out a doctor who, spoiler alert, is played by Ralph Fiennes. I don't think it's much of a secret because he's advertised, but they're eventually going to meet up with this doctor to see what this doctor can do for his sick mother, played by Jodie Comer.
Okay. And what's your final grade for 28 Years Later?
B. I'm giving it one of the first B's in a while.
All right, fantastic. All right. Well, next up we have F1 the movie.
Beg your pardon?
Next up, do we have F1 or you?
Oh, yes, F1, Formula One. Yes, this one stars Brad Pitt as an older racer. It doesn't really have a specialty, but he can race anything, and he's got one last shot at the big time when he's put on a struggling Formula One team. And director Joseph Kosinski is best known for Top Gun Maverick, and this movie is about what you would expect for the director of Top Gun Maverick, putting his talents toward a Formula One movie. You've got Brad Pitt basically playing a variation on Tom Cruise's Maverick character. Sort of that super likable, super charismatic, super passionate lead who will stop at nothing to A, win, and B, protect a young charge, played by, I believe his name is Damson Idris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it seems like, this is probably one of those, it's an original movie, obviously, and that's always appreciated during a summer release schedule, but probably follows a lot of the formulas that you would expect, the old racer coming out of retirement to, train the hotshot young gun and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, this is probably one of those types of movies where it's more about the visual imagery as opposed to the story. Does it work for you? Is it a good movie?
I wasn't caring for it. First of all, I was very much feeling its length. It's over 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a very clear amalgamation of so many movies that came before it. I said in my print review, you'll like this if you meet the following criteria. you've never seen a racing movie before. You've never seen Top Gun Maverick. You're willing to pay extra money for a premium format, and you've got over 2.5 hours to spare. So, I think the type of people who would like this movie are in very short supply. They're out there. I'm not saying they're not, but I just think that this is that there are too many people that shouldn't waste their time and money with this movie.
What's your final grade?
I gave it a C minus.
Okay. All right. Well, and now next to a probably highly anticipated movie for yourself, Megan 2.0. This is a anticipated release from a very breakout hit in 2022. I know that you enjoyed that movie. I know you had a lot of excitement going into Megan 2.0. Does Megan 2.0 live up to the excitement hype for you, Bob?
No, it would have been hard to, because I had so much excitement and hype built up for this movie in my head. The original was one of my favorite movies of 2023.
Yeah.
And, I was even hoping, come time for the Oscars, I knew it probably wasn't going to get nominated, but I was kind of hoping maybe there would be an outside chance for like a Golden Globe nomination or something. Sure. But no, nothing happened there. But I still thought it was easily one of the top 5 movies of the year. And this one just can't live up to that. It takes more of an action than a horror approach, which I think is a mistake. And I think for the most part, Allison Williams and the actress playing her niece are phoning it in, even though they had a really compelling storyline in the original that I really appreciate. I thought it was just as interesting as the stuff with Megan herself. And Megan herself is still very funny. I don't want to take that away from the movie, but aside from the charisma of that character, this movie really has nothing to offer.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the nice, really fun original movie that really kind of shocks a lot of people gets that big box office return. So then you get the sequels, and sometimes maybe there just isn't a sequel to mine from that. And what's your final grade for Megan 2.0?
I gave it a C. I probably would think that the series was dead here if I didn't know that there was already another movie being planned called Soulmate, which looks to have more in common with Companion from earlier this year than Megan, but I know that it's part of the same Megan universe. Otherwise, I'd be willing to write the series off right now.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of maybe writing a series off, I have to admit, Bob, not a big fan of the Jurassic World movies, only primarily because any movie that inhabits the same world as the original Jurassic Park doesn't make any sense to me, because why would you, in a sense, want to unleash that kind of hell again after it's already been unleashed and everybody probably was scared to death that there were dinosaurs running around the world? So that's my biggest problem with the Jurassic World movies, as we've rebooted this franchise for whatever reason. So I have not cared so much for the idea of, I think dinosaurs should be able to roam the earth again. Let's do it. So here we have Jurassic World Rebirth. Scarlett Johansson gets her wish of being in a Jurassic Park movie, which I did not think that anybody would really pine over wanting a role in Jurassic Park.
Well, I'm sure the money.
Oh yeah. I'm sure she got a nice paycheck, and I'm sure Mahershala Ali also got a nice paycheck. Gareth Edwards is directing. Bob, I want to like this movie. I want to go in with no negative connotations with it, but it's hard for me with this franchise. Is this much the same, or is it a better movie than I'm talking about?
Well, it's probably a better movie than you're talking about, but I still don't recommend it very much. I mean, you're going to get dinosaurs. There's no denying that. Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, and others go to this island that was a research facility for the original Jurassic World. It starts off with a flashback sequence involving an accident at their facility that kind of takes a page from the Final Destination movies, where a Snickers bar wrapper winds up causing some huge problems for the scientists working at this facility. And actually, candy bars featured prominently in a violent sequence from the most recent Final Destination movie. And people are going to say this is silly. I think there's some good suspense to it, but aside from that, this movie has very few original ideas. They have Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala and others. They have to go to this facility to try to track down 3 dinosaurs, one in the sea, one on land, and one in the air, and get DNA extractions from them so they can formulate a cure for heart disease. And there's a shady pharmaceutical representative with them who you can tell is going to be the bad guy.
Right.
And yeah, so they have to have some dino mayhem all over the island. There's a few genuinely suspenseful sequences, especially one involving a cliff. I was recently having to do something that involved heights, a bridge walk in West Virginia, and some of what they do is kind of reminiscent of that. Had me kind of on edge.
Okay.
But all these sequences are par for the course for the Jurassic Park and World franchise, and so is the whole movie. So is all the banter they do.
Right.
So if you've ever seen one of these movies before, you're not going to get much out of this one.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that will go to the movie this weekend, the big holiday release.
It's gonna make a ton of money, and the series is probably gonna continue. Assuming there are any survivors.
Well, I'm sure that they will ensure that the series continues as long as it's profitable. Obviously,
Yes.
What's your final grade for Jurassic World Rebirth?
C. Not recommended, but it delivers a lot of what fans are expecting.
Okay. All right, Bob. Well, as always, appreciate all your takes here. I know that we have some big movies on the horizon. Are we going to record next week, or should we skip and let a couple of movies build up?
I think we should wait for a couple of movies to build up. I think we should go again after Fantastic Four opens at the end of the month.
Okay. All right. Well, we will cover Superman and Fantastic Four during that show. Bob, as always, we appreciate you stopping by. I'm glad you were able to see some good movies for a change this weekend or this past couple of weeks. And
yes, Elio and 28 years later, both good movies.
And we hope you have another good time at the movies coming up. Bob, thank you so much for stopping by. And you can always come by and give us all your movie takes. We always enjoy it. Bob, thank you so much. You have a great time at the movies.
Thank you very much. And the show is the highlight of my week.